So I have a bit of a question for you. I'm wondering, in today's day and age, we're in 2022, we have all the tech that you can ever dream of, all the software, like all the most amazing hardware. I look at Apple launching their new iPhones and their new iPads and all sorts of stuff, and all their watches and that. There's more innovation happening with the watch because it's newer than there is with the iPhone. The new one looks exactly the same. It's got better specs, faster things, but it still looks and operates sort of the same. My question is this. So with all of this amazing things around us that's been used and tested for, like, it works, right? Why are we still looking for new tech? Why do we still feel that our tech isn't working for us? It's working for 10,000 other users, but doesn't work for me. My business is too unique. Everything is too, and that's sort of the question I have. Why do we do that? Well, hopefully in today's session, I'm going to share some principles that we can employ and use in order to maximize the value that you unlock by using the technology in your financial planning practice. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. I love all the hellos here in the chat already, even before we started. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you for saying hi. I really appreciate it. And for being here live, obviously, is the most amazing thing. Just back from LeaderX, what an experience it was. I'm actually really unhappy with the fact that I didn't go all 3 days. I was only there yesterday. But what an amazing experience. So definitely next year, I think it's going to be bigger and better again. Great to see all the people coming out and, just doing stuff face to face. I've met so many people yesterday that I've only seen through a screen or in a chat. So really, really amazing. What an opportunity. And I'm really grateful that I could do that yesterday. So with that, what are we talking about today? Well, getting the most out of your technology for your financial planning practice is what we are going to be talking about. And I've got a host of things, like a long list of things that I want to share with you, my thoughts, but also principles that we can use to make better use of the technology that we've got and get more out of it, so that thing that you see as a cost at the moment becomes an investment. I know, I'm glad to hear that is sinking in with a lot of people, but it must be an investment. Tech can't be a cost. It is an investment. It makes you money. So we're going to look more closely at that. But anyway, so we've also got David Kopp here today for the latest current affairs with the FPI. And then we've got Norma. Norma today is talking about 3 misconceptions about personal development. And then I've got just 2.5 announcements, and then we'll get into the feature topic. But first, let me say a warm good morning. Good morning, Quibus. Quibus is driving. He's going away on a long weekend to Sun City. So Quibus, drive safe, enjoy. Mark, good morning. Nice to see you. Hope it's all going well in KZN. Harry, good morning. Lekker in Pretoria. Eloise, it was awesome chatting to you in the week. So thank you very much for being here. Ek dink jy's ook in Pretoria as ek reg onthou. Albert, goeiemôre. Like I met you yesterday for the first time face to face. So at least we could recognize each other. There were so many people that said hi, and I'm like, who's this? So yeah, I'm so bad with faces. But anyway, so it was awesome to see you. Jonita, good morning. Hope het gaan goed. Then good morning, Mary. Also awesome to see you again. Good morning, Lelani. It's so many nice chats with you yesterday. So thank you very much. Tim, nice to see you. But I hope it's going well with you. Mark down in Oz. How are you, Marky? Julie, good morning. Also had a nice catch up with you this week. So thank you for that. Renee, good morning. Hope you're well. Kavendra, good morning. And Peter Erasmus, good morning. Good morning. Alrighty, so with all of the niceties and pleasantries out of the way, let's get started and head on over to Mr. David Kopp.
Hello everyone, and in today's current affairs, 32%, co-investing, immigration, and stealthy Starbucks. So as reported on MoneyWeb, NERSA may have little room to limit the 32% tariff increase Eskom wants. Consumers are already hard hit by increasing costs, may face a steep increase in electricity prices this year. On the eve on public hearings of Eskom's application for a 32% tariff increase next year, it has become clear that the energy regulator, NERSA, will have little room to deviate from Eskom's number and limit the increase substantially. Eskom on Thursday updated the assumptions underpinning its application for a second time since it was first submitted as a 3-year application on the 2nd of June 2021. The total allowable revenue it asks for has remained unchanged from its previous updates at 351 billion rand. This still represents a percentage increase of 32.03% from the amount NERSA approved for the current financial year. The deadlines for stakeholders to submit written comment has passed, but NERSA will hold public hearings next week where oral presentations will be heard. So in the past few years, NERSA has often limited Eskom's annual tariff increase substantially. For the current year, Eskom applied for a 20% increase, but NERSA approved only 9.61. One of the biggest factors in that decision was the deduction of almost 26 billion from Eskom's 68 billion allowance for depreciation. Eskom based the amount it applied for the evaluation on its regulatory asset base of 1.2 trillion, followed by a re-evaluation by independent experts. NERSA, however, rejected the valuation and put it at 855 billion, which informed the reduction of the depreciation. Eskom took this part of NERSA's decision about its revenue to court, and on Thursday revealed the deadline had passed without NERSA filing a notice to oppose the matter. Eskom GM for Regulation said Eskom anticipates some kind of agreement with NERSA, which will be made in order of court. So again, something very interesting to watch and to see what our electricity prices, when we have it, will actually go up by. Then Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has called for the Government Employees Pension Fund to consider co-investing in government infrastructure projects as the country faces a deep shortfall in funding to address its growing infrastructure needs. Addressing the GEPF Annual Thought Leadership Conference on Thursday, the minister said that there are opportunities for pension funds to co-invest with the government, especially in the delivery of infrastructure in the country. He said South Africans need to finance both brown and greenfield infrastructure projects, requiring in the region of 1 trillion rand over the next 5 years. Put differently, South Africa needs to lift the level of fixed investment in the economy to at least 30% of GDP from the current level of 19% of GDP. However, the government is struggling to raise the necessary funds. Investment in South Africa, measured as a gross fixed capital formation, has lagged GDP for some years now. This is owing to the continued global and domestic uncertainty, as well as the re-emergence of pre-existing domestic growth constraints, chief amongst them being the unreliable electricity supply. As a government, we cannot close the gap alone. We require partnership with the private sector, particularly the finance sector. He said that pension funds in particular are major sources of investing in infrastructure would be mutually beneficial. A growing economy that produces jobs will spur household savings, which the pension industry thrives. Our higher savings will be more money can be put back into the economy, he said. So obviously this is a close one to watch. And although the ANC policy on prescribed assets is no longer on the table, they are obviously asking for pension funds to consider investing in infrastructure, and Regulation 28 has been changed to allow for this. So another interesting one to watch. Then about half of South Africans' top earners and university graduates are considering immigration as citizens lose faith in the country's future, the Social Research Foundation said, citing a survey it conducted. Of the 3,204 registered voters the Johannesburg-based survey group surveyed in July, 53% of university graduates and 43% of those who earned more than 20,000 a month may leave the country, according to the findings. Overall, 23% of those surveyed since they may look for opportunities in another country. Confidence in South Africa's future has fallen after more than a decade when average economic growth failed to match the increase in population, meaning the country's citizens are getting poorer. So again, another structural issue that needs to be fixed. Then, there's a Starbucks location that you won't just be able to drop in and order coffee from. In fact, if you try to put its address in Google Maps on your phone, nothing will come up. That is because this Starbucks is located inside the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. So unless you are a CIA employee or have security clearance, you won't be able to order a Frappuccino or anything else from the store. According to the Washington Post, this particular Starbucks is there to help humanize the environment for CIA employees who work under high pressure and high security. Those employees are also a captive audience of thousands of analysts, agents, engineers, cartographers, and other workers who are typically caffeine-addicted personality types. Whether or not this Starbucks is busiest one in the world, as some urgent members claim, there are definitely queues down the hallways. Although the interior of the Starbucks looks much the same as any others, it goes by the name of nondescript store number 1 on its receipts. And although some regulars like to refer to it as stealthy Starbucks, baristas have to undergo extensive background checks and are escorted around the premises. They also don't ask for customer names, even aliases, which apparently have some CIA people very nervous to give any sort of identification out. So thank you very much for listening. And don't forget to register for the FPI convention being held on the 19th and 20th of October, both online at the Indaba in Sandton as well. Thank you very much, and back to you, Francois.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, I'll share some more information about the FPI convention in a minute. But first, let's listen to Norma and learn about 3 misconceptions that you and I may have about personal development.
Good morning. I'm glad to be back today. So my topic for today is the misconceptions we have about personal development. So these are surely things that I've, used to think about personal development. And I always want to use personal development for myself. So really the point of personal development for me is really to gain awareness of what is happening in my brain, and that I become aware of those things, and then I'm in a position to think, is it serving me or not, and then changing those things if I want to. So let's look at a couple of them. So the first one is that we think sometimes it's a one and done exercise. It's like we go to the gym once and think we're going to be healthy, or maybe having one nutritious meal and think that's going to keep us healthy forever. So just like our brains also get messy sometimes. It's like our houses. We can't clean our house today and think it's going to be clean forever. The dishes needs to be done daily, otherwise it gets smelly. Even although we might not use a room, we still need to move the couches and clean underneath. And we don't make it mean we're bad people or there's something wrong with us when our house gets messy. The same with our brains. We live in a world where things happen. We have challenges. We set, goals for ourselves. And those are all things that challenge us, and that brings up all sorts of thoughts. So definitely, if we personal development, if we do it and we work on ourselves, it's not going to be, doing it once and think it's going to last forever. It's a daily exercise. The second one is really to, when we do personal development, we're going to stop doubting ourselves, stop maybe not feeling confident in a certain situation. We're going to be certain, we're going to always feel, motivated, inspired to do a whole lot of things. That's also not the case. As I've mentioned, we, constantly put ourselves in a position where, we challenge ourselves, we set goals. And once we set goals, it's something we've never done before. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it a goal. So we set goals and our brain doesn't really know how to get there. We don't even know how to get there. We assume a lot of things. We take our best guesses. We figure things out as we go. And as you know, our brain, is really wired for survival. So when it sees these challenges, it thinks, we're in danger. But and that's the times that, all our doubts and insecurities and fears and worries come up. So nothing has gone wrong. This is, it's very natural for us to feel those things. And it doesn't matter, what milestones we get to, how many goals we set, what we achieve in life, we will always have those things coming along with us. It's almost like thinking of it like in the 80s when we, had to, or we used to wear those layers of clothing. It's I can put on the shirt of doubt today. I'm doing this new thing in my business, for instance. So I've got the doubt with me, but I can also layer it with another top over the initial top. And that might be certainty, or it might be confidence, or it might be inspiration or motivation. So we can have more than one feeling, going through our day. But because we manage our mind and because we do personal development, we have the skill to actually do that. And then lastly is to think that we're going to be happier when we do personal development. So as I always say, our life is like this circle, and half of it is positive emotions and the other half is negative emotions. So the positive emotions is the ones that we like feeling. The negative emotions are the ones we don't like feeling. So when we do personal development, we're still going to have both. But when we experience the negative ones, or the ones we don't like feeling, we know how to get through it. We know how to experience those emotions. We don't push it away or avoid it or even react to it. We know that we can experience it and as well, put on that second top of, the stuff that feels good, or the stuff that actually drives us. So personal development is there for us, and we should never use it against ourselves. We should never say to ourselves, I have all these tools, I should know better, or I thought I've dealt with this issue and think that it's never going to be coming up again. We can always use personal development for ourselves to evolve and become the best version of ourselves. That's the point for me at the end of the day. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for being here. I'll be back next week.
Alrighty, and just like that, I lose connection to my camera. So the beauty of life. So let's see if we can sort this out. So hey, the beauty, just 1 second. Let's just see. Let's see. There we go. Most important thing is to remain calm regardless of what happens. Alrighty, so let me start the music for the announcements. Geez, what fun we have on this show. Alrighty, so there we go. First off, that I want to share with you is the FPI convention. As David mentioned earlier, it's taking place on the 19th and 20th of October. It is an in-person as well as a virtual event, so basically a hybrid event. And I'm going to be moderating a panel on the psychology of financial planning. Really excited about that one. I just realized when I look at the agenda yesterday that we are the first sort of feature of the convention, which is amazing. So I'll be talking to Mariette Tappen and Louis van der Merwe, as well as Nikki McDonald, about the psychology of financial planning. So not financial or the psychology of money, which is something completely different in my opinion, but definitely something. And if you look at the agenda, I'm going to share the link on screen with you. So you can visit fpi.co.za/FPI-convention and get the program, the speakers, like everything. So do go and check that out, because like it's really a phenomenal 2 days ahead, and definitely something that whether you're a member or not, that you may want to consider attending. And as I said, there's the option to attend it virtually and then obviously in person at the Indaba Hotel in Fourways. So really looking forward to that one. Right. Then, the next thing is that our next CPD event is taking place the first Tuesday of September. Geez, we're in October already. So it's going to be all about retrenchment and tax. And our CPD events are now exclusive for PROpulsion Pro members. So if you're not a member, consider becoming a member. It's 350 Rand a month. So the best investment that you will make south of employing the right technology, well, north of, I would assume. So do join us for that session. Really looking forward to that. Really powerful, all about retrenchments and tax and a whole host of things. We've got a real life example, like a real comprehensive, good example to see how many of these things play out in practice. And I'll discuss that in that session. Cool. Then also, if you're not part of the WhatsApp group yet, we've got a PROpulsion live WhatsApp group that you can join. It's a one-way group, so it's only myself that can post. So you're welcome to join that. You can simply visit propulsion.co.za/WhatsApp. You can join at any time. You can leave at any time. It's all in your power, because obviously we don't want to bombard you with stuff that you don't want. And if you don't get value, then we don't want you to feel like you're locked in and you have to block us. So we don't do it that way. So do go and join the WhatsApp group if you don't get our WhatsApps yet. And then, lastly, just again, the podcast. We started the podcast back in 2019. A lot of people refer to this show as a podcast, which I guess it's a video podcast. You could see it like that. I see it as a show because it's live. But you can also listen to the featured topic or the featured guest that we have for a particular episode. We release that as a audio only version as well on the podcast. It comes out every Tuesday, so you're welcome to also check that out. We're everywhere: Apple, Spotify, Google, name them, we're there. So please go and subscribe on your particular platform that you prefer using, and you can also listen then just to the featured section, which is coming up next. Alrighty, so before I then get cracking with the topic, let me just quickly see. I see there's quite a few people who joined a little bit later. So good morning, Johan. Morning, Almin. Nice to see you. Tracy, was awesome seeing you yesterday in person. And Jeff, good morning. Awesome to see you. Good morning, Jaco. Lekker om jou altyd te sien. Goeiemôre. Neil Phillips, man, it's been a while. So awesome to see you. Arun, good morning. Also to see you. Well done. Amanda John, good morning. So saw you yesterday as well. So yeah, the load shedding ish doesn't stop, hey? Yotika, good morning. Thank you very much for the WhatsApp you sent as well. And so lekker. Let's do all the stuff that needs to be done. And with that, let's get started with today's featured topic. Alrighty. So, man, the beauty of live shows. I really enjoy that. Luckily, we could get the camera sorted. I don't know what happened. Like everything was working fine and then suddenly it froze. Anyways, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about, obviously, when we talk about getting the most out of your technology in your financial planning practice, is a very simple place to start. And that is having the right tool for the right job. Now, obviously, I think there's a lot of things where we feel like, you know what, we're looking for that one system, as we always spoke about. I'm going to talk a little bit about that more later. But ultimately, it is to understand that whether you're a one-man, one-woman practice, whether you're building your practice within a bigger FSP, or whether you are the FSP and you are building your practice, and whether you then it's just you and a team, or there are several financial advisors working in your business, it doesn't matter. You got to understand that your practice is a business. We need to run it like a business. We need to understand it like a business. We need to put things in place that a proper business would have in place. And therefore, if we look at all the different areas of a financial planning business, or any other business for that matter, there are several different things that need different functions, different access. There's different information that needs to flow. So there's all these different things. And some of the main things that I feel we need to understand, what tools do we need for this specifically, is first of all, relationship management. And when I talk about the relationship management, I'm not talking about a place where you can put your client's information like the yellow pages. That's not the point. We need that as well. Easy to find the information, link more information to it, basically their digital file, if you will. So you obviously need the basic information, but managing a relationship is understanding the conversations you've had in the past with them, understanding what have come out of those, making notes about those, having something to refer back to, having certain notifications. And I'm not talking about birthday notifications and anniversaries and that kind of stuff, but there's other things that this can help you remember, and it can help you actually be proactive in the way that you deal with that client. So everything, all the information around the relationship you have with a particular client needs to be in that system. So there's a need for proper relationship management, because one, you can't remember everything. Two, nobody else can remember everything. So And that information becomes very valuable the day you want to sell your business as well. Then record management. And record management, I call it record management because first I put in there like document management, but that sounds too, I don't know, too simple. Record management. So record management comprises everything. It comprises documents, it comprises proof of IDs and FPI kind of stuff. It comprises all the agenda notes and meetings that you've had with clients, all the applications you've done, paperwork you've done, all the records, phone calls, emails, all those things. We need to manage those, right? So that's important. Obviously, if you're in financial planning, planning tools are quite important. And to understand the type of planning you do, how you do it, who you do it for, what the needs are, is quite important. Then a big one, which a lot of people are now coming on board with, that I've seen because the conversations have changed drastically about this in the last bit that I've really had these conversations with a lot of people, and that is on reporting. It's amazing how 3-4 years ago, people were not that bothered, I would say, about communicating with clients and sending them investment statements or sending them information regarding their portfolio proactively and things like that. Because we're still in this belief that, when you invest, you never should look at it. It's for the long run, just leave it. But I also feel that that's maybe a cop-out because we don't want to have these hard conversations when we need to have them. And maybe it's because we don't feel like we have the skills or the ability to have them properly, or it makes us uneasy, or whatever the reason might be for each individual person. But now people have started to see the value, and I've been preaching and professing this value of sending a monthly statement for years. It's not now. I've seen it in action since 2008. I experienced it myself doing it from 2013 until I sold my practice. The power of being in contact with a client every single month with something that they are going to open and that they are interested in is the trust, the credibility, the power that you build off the back of that, the opportunities you unlock off the back of that is incredible. It's almost, it's counterintuitive. If you think about when markets are down, you think you send out statements to 300 people that, now I'm going to get a flurry of phone calls. Well, if it's the first time you're sending out statements ever, then absolutely. But if it's not the first time, you've been sending it out now for 12, 18, 24 months, and now there's a drop. I promise you, I saw this. Almost no one phones. Why? Because they know you're looking at it. They know that every month they get a statement. They know that they're in good hands. The trust has been built. And so often we saw people just replying to those and saying, oh, by the way, I've now got this. I need to talk to you about X, Y, or Z, and whatever it may be. So reporting in that sense, but in a, not just reporting for the sake of reporting, but in a consolidated way with sort of your branding, your look and feel, those kind of things are extremely important. And to produce those easily is obviously the other thing. And excuse me if I'm shouting, but that's the other powerful thing. So this about we've been talking about transparency and all this kind of stuff for years, and there is no better way than having proper reporting in place. So that is a very big aspect of having the right tool for the right job. Then HR. I think this is an area that is probably neglected most. We don't think of it as that. We're a small business. If people want to have leave, there's some document that they can complete, or I don't know. But there's actually a very easy way to have people manage this online, for example. What about things like if you want to appoint people? What if you need to discipline people? What if you need to, what processes and systems do you have in place in order to manage that and to manage the information of your employees effectively? So a very important area. Then another big one for me that I'm very passionate about is revenue. And I particularly split revenue and accounting from each other because they are not the same thing. Revenue forms part of accounting, but accounting does not really consider revenue apart from how much was the revenue for the year. There's no way that an accountant is going to look at your revenues and really show you exactly where things are coming from, where the risks are, where you're doing a good job, where you're not doing a good job, those kind of stuff. So revenue management is extremely, extremely important, and definitely something that one needs to consider. Again, whether you just get commission from one place. I just had a conversation last week with someone saying to me, oh, they've gone onto one of the systems and they just work for one company, right? They are building a practice within one FSP. They get only commission and income from that product provider. They picked up how many things where they weren't paid correctly for a number of years already. So there's things that you are losing out on because you don't have the information readily available. And how can you run a proper business and a proper practice if you're not on top of things? So these tools are meant to make life easy for you and to really show you things that you've not known before, that you haven't seen before. And even if you then get to know, you know that you're staying on top. So the right tool for the right job is extremely important. The last part is accounting. And especially if you're going to start invoicing people, a lot of people are now invoicing for certain services and so forth. And some are not. Some are still trying to do sort of ongoing agreements, what do you call them, like retainers and things. Others are just like, whenever I do X, Y, and Z, then I charge for it, or the client has an option of how they want to work. Doesn't matter. But a proper cloud accounting system is absolutely crucial. And once you've got all of these tools that are in the cloud, the chances that you can integrate all of them becomes extremely, extremely high. Not to say that there won't be effort involved, not to say that you can do it yourself, but the chances of now sort of getting to that point where we can have a central base for certain information and then have other things plug into that becomes so much more easier. So those are the different areas where I'm saying, like, you need the right tool for the right job. All right. The next point. Again, we are still on this, looking for this holy grail of finding a system that can be everything. Just recently, I saw somebody ask again, why don't they build X, Y, or Z into the system? Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And here's my experience, right? My actual experience with systems that offer you everything. So that everything in one system dream that we all have. The problem with that is that often, and I say this with respect to these system providers, that they don't have the resources to support each and every single module properly. So if you think about that versus somebody who focuses on something, that is their life, that is their business, that is what they know. I mean, they have a team of 20 people just doing this one thing. The system provider giving you everything in one system have maybe one. I promise you, it's scary. One or two people that can help and support. And now a lot of the times when it comes to systems, it's all about the data. And it's expected that you take ownership because it's your data. All right? But you can't, because you don't have the resources, nor do you have the time. So now you're looking to the system provider, but help me, you bigger. You are, but they just don't have the capacity in order to do that. Versus the businesses that are focusing on a core function, one of those that I've maybe given you, they focus on that and they've got a team of 20 people doing just that. I mean, obviously the experience is different. Obviously the outcomes are different, but you have what seems to be like a disparate system. So the systems are not talking to each other yet. And that's the one big frustration, because that may lead to us having to put more information into systems and having to rekey things. In other words, I've put it in here, but I've got to capture it there again. So now I'm duplicating work basically. And those are the kind of things that then becomes a bit frustrating. So integration in my mind is key versus the one. Now, I'm not saying that there's a system that offers you everything. Maybe it works for you because maybe you're not as busy as some other people and you have the time to go and do all the stuff yourself and manage your data and do all those things. Or maybe you're willing to appoint someone in your business to do that. Then fantastic. If the tool works for you, it works for you. So I'm not saying that one system is bad and separate systems are good. What I'm saying is, and this is going to get to sort of some of my next points, but it is important for you to understand what are you looking for, why are you looking for it, and what are you trying to achieve at the end of the day, and how are people going to partner with you to make it happen. In financial planning, you can't have a knock and drop system. You can't have a system where you say, there it is, you go and buy it online, fantastic, there you go, you use it, don't call us, everything is online. I don't believe that that's the way that things should work. And often when you get to those kind of levels, that are the things that one needs to contend with and accept. And then we get upset and we go look for another system. And then we get another system and it's the same story over and over again. So I'll get to some of those points in a second. So that's my thoughts anyway on that one system to rule them all, seeing that I'm watching the Rings of Power now on Prime. So the other big thing, and I've spoken about this in some way, shape, or form before, but you've got to know that whenever you implement technology and whenever you bring something new, that you have to understand that the research, the demos, the decision-making process, all of those things, that's not when it stops once the deal is signed. That's when the real work starts. So you've got to understand that you have to invest time and effort. You are going to go through frustration. Your team is going to go through frustration. It's going to be disrupting to your business for a while until you get comfortable with whatever it is that you're using. So I can tell you today, unequivocally, there is no such thing as plug and play. Plug and play is something that was made popular because it's a lacquer thing to say, plug and play, right? I mean, not even Apple is really plug and play in my opinion, but that comes from where you take a piece of hardware, plug it into a computer, it installs itself and you can use it immediately. That's plug and play. But you can't get a system, you looked at it, the demo looks fantastic, like it ticks all your boxes, and then there's the system, and then it's not going to run by itself. You've got to learn how to use that system. Your staff has got to learn how to use that system. And adoption shouldn't be an option. This is the system we use. It's not a case of, oh, Pity, you can use what you want, and Susie, you can use, as long as you're happy, my business depends on your business. So, like, no, you can't build a proper business with that. I mean, that's a lot worse than having separate systems that needs to communicate with each other. So very important from my view anyway, that just understand that there is no such thing as plug and play. There's no such thing as a user-friendly system. That's absolute nonsense. There's more beautiful systems, and there's systems that may be more intuitive, but I don't think that necessarily makes them more user-friendly. There are people who's using the system day in and day out that you say is not user-friendly, probably. Why? Because they took the time to get to know the system. That's the only difference. Whatever system you're using today, my advice is always start with what you have. Go and learn it inside out before you say this isn't working for me. Spend the time, spend the effort. And also, you can outsource those functions. You can ask other people to help you and come and do things for you. But that's not helping you understand the system. They will build things how they think it should work, and then it still doesn't work. You don't get involved. So very important that one is involved and that you really, really invest the time and the effort. You've got to understand a few things here. One is the interface. In other words, where things are, how to navigate, where to go, etc., etc. You've got to understand the calculations that are done in the planning tool. If somebody says to you, we use discounted cash flow or we use whatever, doesn't mean that you know and understand where things come from, because their interpretation of those things might be different. So very important that you get to be comfortable with the calculations, because only once you trust the numbers will you be in a position to really use that with confidence, because otherwise you're always going to doubt yourself. And for that 1 out of 10 clients asking you, where does this number come from? You're going to go, I don't know. And it's going to freak you out and you've got to stop using it. So that's very important. The third thing is the output. You've got to spend time with the reports, because unfortunately in a lot of instances you can't have your own reports. So you use those reports. And I've seen too many people at Mug and Bean read from the top to the bottom, next page, top to bottom. And that says to me that we haven't spent the time in order to learn these reports and understand where things come from and what are they saying and what are they trying to position. The fourth thing that goes with that, and that is the last thing that most people spend time on, is figuring out how do you engage. Now, I've had a pet peeve with this for many, many years, where I'm telling system providers, guys, you've got to build an engagement process around your output. Nobody's listened. I don't think they get what I'm saying. So it's up to us to go and figure out, how do I engage with my client around this? Which pieces of this is really important? How can I position this? How do I explain this? How can I use an analogy in order to do this? How do I pull the client into this conversation, as we had a show or two shows ago where I was speaking about client engagement? to actively be involved in their own planning. How do we do that? But you've got to spend time with the output in order to figure that out for how you want to do it. And you've got to play, make mistakes and repeat. Play, make mistakes and repeat. Play, make mistakes and repeat. That's the only way to learn. We can't be afraid to make those mistakes. We've got to be out there just playing, just putting anything there. Take clients for whom you have done planning, go play around with those things and figure out what that does for you. Righty, so next point. I'll get to the comments in a second. Next point. And here's a very strong statement, and please don't run me over when you see me next time. But I promise you, in 99.9% of the time, it's not the tool, it's the user, unfortunately. So it's not the car, it's the driver. I can promise you, if the car is in an accident, it wasn't the car's fault, it was the driver's fault. If something happens and, it's not the car, it's the driver. We didn't maintain, we didn't understand, whatever it may be. So 99.9% of the time, I find that if somebody says something's not working, it's not the tool, it's the user. So just, knowing the tool itself. So if we're talking about software or hardware, whatever it is that you're using, it's not just about knowing that. What it is, there's other things required. So one of the things is that you've got to know and understand your own processes inside out. Are they documented? Do you know exactly what needs to happen? Who's responsible for what? Because that's the only way whether you can judge whether a system can actually help you drive that and automate a lot of that is if you really have that knowledge. The second thing is financial planning knowledge. We can't use these systems effectively and efficiently if we don't have the required financial planning knowledge, because otherwise things won't make sense to us and we won't be able to explain things. We won't be able to intuitively know, if I put it in that field, that should happen. If I put it in that field, that should happen. And thirdly, when I look at the output, it's very hard to just quickly see, oh, something looks off. So financial planning knowledge is critical if you want to use any kind of financial planning tool. Doesn't matter how simple or how complex it is absolutely imperative. And then the last thing, obviously, is client engagement, skills, and a process for that. So that's all the stuff you need in order to really get the most out of your tool and understand that it's not that the tool isn't working for me. I'm not working the tool. So if you are, and it's then not working for you, by all means, go and look for something else, because then there's a reason. And you remember that I always say, you got to find a system, a tool, a set of tools, a set of whatever that fits your business. You shouldn't have to go and change your business to fit the tool. Now, that doesn't mean that a system can highlight something for you that's not as efficient as you think it is or as it could be. So you might want to go and then revisit and say, well, is there something we can do better from a process structure point of view? But if you're happy with how everything is set up and everything's working, then you got to find that right system. And this is also where I see a lot of people go wrong. I've been involved with a lot of things that we call RFIs, or requests for information, where you have all these questions, but they're almost sort of standard. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? If not, why not? And if so, sort of need to, and this is this massive document. It goes back to the people looking at this and they decide, oh, we want to see a demo for X, Y, and Z. That request for information needs to be customized in line with your requirements. So that is the starting point. Like, where do you want to start with your business? What are the things you're trying to solve? So with that, I want to get to the first question you should be asking. Whether you sit today with your current system, or whether you are looking for a new system, or you're looking for a system for the first time, the first question you should ask is not, what does it cost? Funny enough, I know of research that shows that in South Africa, all financial planners, the far majority, price is the first thing they ask. Price is the biggest determinant of which system they go with. I think it is a recipe for disaster, and hence maybe why so many people are not happy with what they've got. So it's not what does it cost. It's not the right first question to ask. I'm not saying don't ask what it costs, but that's sort of the last thing you should find out. It's not the first thing. It's also definitely not, can you show me a demo? I'm so keen to see what your system can do. It's not the correct first question. You also shouldn't be asking, like, what features does it have? It's not. What is the first question? The first question is, what job do you need to get done? What job do I want to get done? What problem am I trying to solve? What results am I looking for? What does success look like if I get a system that really works for me? What does that look like? What does a day in the life of me look like? A day in the life of my team, a week, a month, whatever. What does our business look like? And how do we leverage off of a system like this? You've got to be clear on those things. Unless you are clear on that, you can't go like, what features am I looking for? Because what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and then look at this tool and it's amazing. And the guy who presents or the lady who presents is absolutely phenomenal. They blow you away. Then you look at the next one, then, oh, this is so fantastic. And then the next, oh, this is even better. And then at the end of the day, you make a decision based on price because they were all cool. That's not how we should be choosing technology. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of technology you are looking for or that you want to use. Those are the kind of things that we need to go through if you really want to make sure that you are aligned and getting the stuff that will work in your business. So important. You got to work the tool. If you're not working the tool's not going to work for you. Cool beans. Let's see some of the comments. Let me just see. Boom, boom, boom. Theo is saying belated good morning. Good morning. Somebody over on LinkedIn saying good morning. Awesome to see you. Morning, Frederick. Kobus, nothing like a strong online communications tool. My stay in touch emails and WhatsApp broadcast makes for powerful branding and client presence. And it's also because you use it so consistently. So that is the amazing things. Neil says, it took me years and many changes to realize that there isn't a single solution and that you need to tech stack to cover different areas. Neil, you are singing my song, but that's my song. So other people might have different songs. Thanks, Jeff. Hi, Robin. Says important. Nice to see you, Robin. Like it. I'm not working the tool, says Quibus. And then Neil says tech should be seen as an investment in your business, not a cost. Absolutely. So yeah, cool beans. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's show. Thank you very much for being with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you got a lot of value from this, and you're welcome to obviously share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're watching the recording up to this point, thank you very much. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe. Be blessed. And remember to raise the bar. Bye-bye.